Title: My wife and her sister fired me the moment they took over the company. The contract they never read ruined them instead. Chapter 1: The Termination. That morning, the office smelled wrong. Not the usual soft blend of coffee and printer ink, but a sharp synthetic scent, like someone had sprayed perfume to cover something foul. I stepped into the boardroom to find Claire, my wife, and her younger sister Megan already at the head of the table. Their matching expressions were that smug mix of false sympathy and quiet gloating people, where when they think they're doing you a favor while cutting you loose. Claire folded her hands. "We've been reviewing where the company's headed, Daniel," she said, her voice so sweet it could rot teeth. Megan leaned in. "Honestly? We don't need dead weight slowing us down." The words landed harder than I expected, but my face stayed neutral. "Dead weight," I repeated softly. "After 15 years of building this company from the ground up?" Claire didn't flinch. "Exactly. You've been coasting. Now that we've taken control, we're moving forward without you, effective immediately." I looked from one to the other, my mind already working, not with panic, but with calculation. I thought about the contract locked in my desk, the one they clearly hadn't read. I stood up calmly. "If that's your decision, I won't argue." Megan gave a short laugh as I left. They thought they'd ended my career. They didn't realize they'd just ended theirs. Chapter 2: The Father's Call. By evening, I'd cleared my office. No drama. No scene. Just a clean exit. That night, whiskey in hand, I sat in my study, reading the contract for what felt like the 100th time. Every clause was a loaded weapon. Years earlier, when Claire's father, Richard, had brought me in as his right-hand man, I'd invested my own money and time into what was then a struggling family business. Richard had insisted on a clause to protect me in case of any leadership shakeups. Claire and Megan didn't even know it existed. The next morning, my phone rang. Richard's voice was tight and urgent. "Daniel, why the hell did Claire and Megan fire you?" "You'll have to ask them," I said evenly. "Oh, I did," he snapped. "They called you lazy. Do they even know what they've done? Have they read the contract?" "I'm going to guess no." "Send it to me now." 10 minutes later he called back, laughing this time. "They've just fired the majority shareholder. Unless they buy you out at your valuation, they lose controlling interest." "Meet me at the office tomorrow," he said. "We're going to watch their faces when they realize what they've done." Chapter 3: The Boardroom Ambush. The next day, the boardroom felt heavy with tension. No perfume this time, just silence thick enough to cut. Claire sat scrolling on her phone. Megan sipped her latte, wearing the smile of someone who thinks she's untouchable. Richard entered first, his footsteps echoing. I followed, a single folder in hand. "Girls," Richard began, voice cold. "I hear you fired Daniel yesterday." "That's right," Claire said without looking up. "We've got this under control now." Megan added, "Nothing personal, he was dead weight." Richard's jaw tightened. "That dead weight owns 52% of this company." Claire's face went pale. Megan blinked rapidly, trying to process. "That's impossible," Claire said. "You took over operations," I replied calmly. "Not ownership. The contract we signed 15 years ago gave me majority shares in exchange for my investment and growth guarantees." I slid the folder across the table. "And here's the fun part. Fire me without cause and the buyout price triples." Megan's mouth fell open. "Triples? That's enough to bankrupt you," Richard finished for her. "Unless you reinstate Daniel immediately and step down." "You planned this?" Claire's voice shook. "No," I said with a smile. "You planned this. I just read the paperwork." Chapter 4: Closing the Trap. The air felt electric, dangerous. Claire kept darting glances at Megan, but no miracle escape appeared. Megan sat frozen, lipstick smudged on her latte cup like a warning flag. Richard stepped back, letting me take control. "Two options," I said, pulling out another document. "1. Reinstate me as CEO, hand over operational control, and leave quietly." Megan crossed her arms. "And option 2. Option 2. I invoke the breach clause, force a triple value buyout, and when you can't pay, which you can't, your shares go to auction. I'll buy them for pennies, and you'll be unemployed, broke, and barred from executive roles for a decade." This is blackmail, Megan snapped. No, Richard cut in. This is business. And you just proved you're not ready for it. You wouldn't ruin us, Claire whispered. I leaned in. After you fired me in front of my team and called me lazy? Yes, Claire, I would. Finally, Claire broke. Fine. We'll step down, but no one outside this room needs to know. I smiled slowly. Oh, Claire, everyone's going to know. Chapter 5: The Public Fall. 3 days later, the press conference hall was packed. Shareholders, staff, media, industry figures. The event was billed as a strategic leadership update. Claire and Megan sat stiffly 2 seats away from me, faces like porcelain masks. They had agreed to step down, but silence had never been part of my deal. Richard opened the event. There's been a leadership misunderstanding. Today we fix it. Then he stepped aside for me. 3 days ago, my wife and her sister fired me without cause, I told the crowd. They called me lazy. Murmurs rippled through the room. What they didn't realize, I continued, is that I've been majority shareholder for 15 years. Their move violated our contract and nearly bankrupted us. Effective immediately, they are stepping down permanently. Gasps, whispers, camera flashes. And, I added, I'm releasing a report detailing their reckless financial decisions during their short tenure. The room buzzed with chatter. Claire stared at the floor. Megan gripped the table until her knuckles whitened. You wanted the company without me, I said, turning toward them. Now you have nothing. And everyone knows why. Chapter 6: No Way Back. By the next morning, the press conference clip had gone viral. Headlines read, Family Coup Backfires, Sisters Ousted in Public Corporate Showdown. Former employees posted stories of Claire's arrogance and Megan's incompetence. Industry blogs tore apart their leadership stint, which had lasted less than a month. Within a week, they were untouchable. The penalties drained their bank accounts. Cars and jewelry popped up at auctions. Friends distanced themselves. Richard called laughing. Claire asked to borrow money. I told her to get a job. Maybe you'll hire her. 2 weeks later, a plain envelope arrived. Inside, a note in Claire's handwriting. You win. Are you happy now? I set it down. This wasn't about happiness. It was about balance. She had tried to take everything I'd built. Now she knew what it was like to lose it all. And the doors she slammed on me were now locked on her. Epilogue: The Call Back. A month later, I was back at the head of the boardroom table. The coffee smelled fresh. The sharp perfume was gone. A junior manager Claire once mocked handed me the quarterly report. Profits were already climbing. I glanced at the empty chairs where they'd once sat, so sure they were untouchable. I remembered Megan's words. We don't need lazy people like you. I smiled to myself. Lazy people don't build empires. But impulsive ones? They burn them down. And with that, I closed the folder, and their chapter for good.